Good morning or evening or whatever it is for you. Welcome back to Ex Witness Awake. I'm Jonathan. So I was thinking, what was I going to do for my post for this week? I had thought to start in on the bite model, which has to do with what how to judge if something is a cult. But then this, maybe about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, I got a private message on TikTok from someone who uh, was asking if they could ask a few questions and needed some advice. So I thought, you know what? That's what I'm going to talk about this time because it's nice to get people who don't know and are inquisitive and have, you know, to be able to help them out by any little bit of advice that I could give. So I do appreciate when people contact me. I've had it happen a couple times now. I still find it kind of amazing because I don't think I'm an authority on much of anything, but you know, I try and do what I can do. In any case, I'm going to keep it vague in certain respects. They asked me if I could please not use any names or anything because they don't want to take a chance that possibly certain people will see this and put two and two together and figure out that it's them. So, in respects for that, I'm just going to use pseudonyms and I'm going to keep it kind of vague in certain respects. So, this person, who I'm going to refer to as Mary, Mary contacted me and said that she has a 5-year-old nephew from her sibling, who I'll refer to as Bobby. So, Bobby is the older sibling of Mary, and her nephew has been asking certain questions. She is concerned, Mary is concerned that, um, that her nephew may become a victim of just all the troubles that come from being in a cult. She's seen some TikToks and she's fearful that, her nephew could be harmed, just in the way that being inside will do to you. So, as I said, the nephew is 5, and he has had some questions as far as about holidays and that sort of thing. So, when he's out and about with his aunt, she has noticed that he's noticing Christmas things and he's noticing birthday things, and I guess these are some things that the nephew would like to have. So she was asking what she should do. She is concerned for her nephew, that he is going to be, scarred by his experience as being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. The sibling, Bobby, is very strict, so she's concerned about, how to handle things. My advice to Mary was to not go behind Bobby's back, as far as trying to, there was a talk about trying to, give the nephew a birthday cake and candles and that sort of thing and gifts and that in sort of secret. But that's probably going to backfire, unfortunately, because if word gets out, and we're talking about a kid and it's hard to keep secrets, that's going to really mess up that relationship between these two siblings and probably end up with a case of the aunt not being able to have anything to do with her nephew. So that is my advice. Don't do that. It's not a good idea to keep secrets. What I did suggest is make the nephew feel special. At other times of the year, give presents, and just treat the nephew with be the cool aunt is what I said a lot, because you don't want the nephew to get the impression that you're an evil worldly person, because that is going to be something that Bobby is going to push on the son, because Jehovah's Witnesses are very much supposed to be separate from the world, and so they're going to be taught that you should not have anything to do with worldly people. And if Mary pushes these things onto her nephew, that's something that may backfire and damage the relationship that they all have together. So, what I did suggest is to let a little time pass. Wait until the nephew is a little more mature, because 5 is still pretty young to really figure out what you're all about, which is why getting baptized as a young person in Jehovah's Witnesses is a bad idea, because you're still pretty young. As I had mentioned to Mary, it's not uncommon for Jehovah's Witness children to get baptized between, say, 10 and 12, sometimes earlier. I have heard of even as young as 8. And getting them out once you reach that point, we all know how difficult that is. So the positive thing is the nephew is wanting some of these things that they're not allowed to have. They're starting to have some questions, but they're only 5, so it's kind of hard to know where they're going to stand exactly on their beliefs, being so young. So I suggested waiting a little bit of time, a couple years maybe, just to let the maturity level rise a little bit, and ask the nephew, what do you believe? As the aunt, you're showing that you are interested in, what the nephew believes, and it makes it easier to relate that way to one another. And then the natural thing to do is to say, oh, well, that's interesting, and then say what you believe as the aunt. And hopefully, if handled in the proper way, that's going to put a little seeds of ideas into the nephew's head that may help him to make some decisions later on, hopefully before it gets to the point to where there would be the expectation that he'd get baptized. Because I relate it to my own personal experience a little bit. I'm sure I mentioned this in a previous video, but I was baptized at 15. So I had just been 15 for about a month, and I was baptized. So 15 is kind of, old in a lot of respects. You're kind of there's an expectation that you're going to get baptized sooner, because sort of like you got to make that decision because the end's coming, and if you don't get baptized, well, you might not make it. So once you get to that stage where you're baptized, all bets are off, and you could be disfellowshipped as a young person. That's not what she's going to want for her nephew. So she needs to try and talk to him and see if she can get him to make some decisions about what he wants to do way before that happens. As I was saying, with my own personal circumstance, I was baptized, so once that happened. My sisters, however, who are younger than myself, they were not baptized. So they, as teenagers, kind of said, I don't want to go. They just kind of didn't go after a while. And because they weren't baptized, there were no real negative consequences for them. So I kind of wish that I had followed suit in that. But, I was the good son, unfortunately. And, I've suffered the consequences for that because I don't have a relationship with my mother anymore and haven't for some time. But they do. because, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not baptized, then you're kind of off the hook for that way. I mean, if you do something really terrible, that's different, but they have not done anything really terrible, so they're fine. They have a relationship with their mom, and my mom has a relationship with those grandkids, but she doesn't have a relationship with my son, so she doesn't know James, who's 5 now himself, and that's sad. I really wish that she did know him. He's named after my father, so it'd be nice if she knew him. But anyway, I didn't really want it to be about that. This is something about the circumstance of this person who contacted me. So I guess what I'm saying is, get in there before they reach that baptism mark and see what you can do. Play it cool. Don't try and force things. Don't try and be secretive, because that's just going to blow up in your face. Just talk, have conversations, be cool. If you want to, I'm assuming that you have time together, with your nephew. So you're going to want to, maybe go out and see lights or something in the wintertime. Something that's, not really dangerous, and just basically have a good time. Introduce some things that have to do with the holidays and birthdays, but keep it low key. And that's something that your nephew is going to be so excited about that they're going to report back to mom and dad, and that will come back to bite you. So yeah, that's basically it. It feels good to help as best I can. I don't know if I have the greatest advice in the world, but I'm happy to listen. And it just feels good to help people. So that's what I'm all about. Whoop, here I'm kicking the tripod again. I'm all about helping people, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So there are plans in the works to do more. I mentioned the last time about the Apostate Coalition, which is people from different religions who are coming together to work together. At this point, there are probably more ex-Jehovah's Witnesses than anything else, because that's just kind of what comes up on my page, and those are the people that I've contacted. So there are some who are ex-Mormon, but I'm trying to find others. I've recently just added somebody who is an ex-Mooney, and I haven't had much time to talk to them. But I would like to gather as many people from different religious backgrounds, different cult backgrounds, who have something that they can offer to help people out, to be active, apostates, to be activists. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. What else? Yeah, so keep your eyes open. I don't know when. This is just sort of in the planning stage. There's a bit of in the last few months, there's been things going on TikTok, but that's just sort of one little piece of the puzzle. There's more to come. I got some big plans, but as someone told me, I need to stop looking at the finished picture and figure out all the steps that I need to get to what I want to accomplish. So I guess I got to dial it back and make preparations and go from there. So just, it's coming. Winter is coming. Unfortunately, I hate winter, but winter is coming when it comes to this whole Apostate Coalition thing. That is it. I hope that this was somewhat interesting and helpful. It's interesting because when this person contacted me, they really had no idea what shunning was all about. Apparently, I was the first ex-Jehovah's Witness that they had spoken to, and they didn't even really know what shunning was. It was a comment that I had made on somebody else's video, and they happened to be there, and so that's why they contacted me and asked about it. So they didn't realize that this sort of thing happens, and that really falls in line with what I'm trying to accomplish, because to me and other apostates, it just, we've lived it. So we know what it's all about. And there's a lot of people that do know about it. But as far as world population, it's a small fraction of the people that know what harmful effects Jehovah's Witnesses have. There are so many people that it's just not on their radar. So those are the people that I really want to talk to say, hey, if somebody comes to your door, or somebody writes you a letter, or calls you, or buzzes your apartment and says, hey, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses and I would love to, share this publication with you and have a study, halt, don't go there, because you don't realize how harmful this is, and if you see a couple of Mormon missionaries walking down the street and they want to come and talk to you, watch out. Same thing. Scientologist, Mooney, whatever. You got to be really careful. It's for some people, sure. It's a legitimate belief, these different things. But you better be informed, because there's a lot that you don't know that they're definitely not going to tell you. And in order for you to make an informed decision, you have to do some research. So we are going to help people to understand what the dangers are, so that you can make that decision for yourself and avoid the pitfalls and save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of turmoil in your family. Because, every time I see a story of someone who has lost a sibling because they took their life, or they have relayed their story to where they were cut off and they had no one and they were in dark times, and that they're just depressed and sad because they miss their family, it breaks my heart. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. My own personal circumstance, it's bad, but I have it a lot better than some. So I want to help people to avoid that. I don't want that to happen to anybody. I want to see some change in this world to where people know what's going on and they're able to act accordingly. So I think that's going to be it. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to call this episode. I guess, questions from viewer or something. I'll figure it out. You'll see. Well, you've already seen it now. But yeah, this whole time thing about me recording and then you seeing it, anyway. I hope that you have a great day. And if you're watching this and you're in a low place, find someone to talk to. It really does help. I had a therapist for a little bit, and that made a world of difference for me. If you feel like you have nobody, there's somebody out there that can talk to you. There's somebody out there that can help. And you just got to reach out, and they will grab your hand and they'll help pull you out of whatever you're going through. So I hope that you have guess I should have had a drink. I hope that you have an excellent day, and I will talk to you next week. So